How's it going, Motor City Miner here, coming at you with another update on my Kaspa KS0 mining journey, because we have another price update from IceRiver. Yes, I'm a couple days late on this one. I was out of town this past weekend, but they did drop the price on Friday to this new $4.49, which is getting closer to where I thought it should have been 3 weeks ago. If you remember, I thought it should be at least $3.99 or lower in my last couple updates. So, it's nice to see that it's getting close to that, but it's, as I said, a couple weeks overdue in my mind. And this price no longer, well, this price never made sense, but this $4.49 price, but even the $3.99 price doesn't really make sense anymore. So let's get into it. First, we're going to hop on over to my handy dandy ROI calculator. You can see I have now put in KS0 batch 7. And this will be that $4.49 price. There we go. And this is due to come out end of September. Alright, so we kind of just skipped the beginning of September. As you'll remember, this late August one was like August 28th through September 1st. So I guess you could argue it was early September, but we're just going to leave it as is. So this is a late September batch, which is really going to affect our ROI calc over here, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So we got a new batch in here. First, we're going to look at how I am doing on my ROI. As you can see, I still have my 4 KS0s down here. The last one came online on August 15th. I had an initial cost investment, not including shipping or any duties or taxes, just because those will vary, but $3,496, and as of today, as of the making of this video on September 11th, I have earned 80,669 Kaspa, about, I rounded, with those 4 miners since initially bringing these online on July 8th. And once I update some of this pricing, we will see how close I am to ROI. So let's look at that. So the current Kaspa price, it has gone up. We're at $3.93 as of this moment. So let's throw that into our calculator. Alright, $3.93. And we'll do that over here as well. Alright, and that now means that our $3,496 investment has made $3,170. We are very close to ROI here on these 4 units. We are about $325 in the red, which gives us a days to ROI of, this is wrong. I forgot half this calculator. I gotta change how much I'm earning a day, because it's no longer 412. This number will still be right. We have earned that much, but how many days to ROI will be slightly different. So let's look at this. There is one other thing I did want to point out, and this has been true across pretty much all the mining pools for Kaspa, is they've all released some ASIC updates for Kaspa. So a lot of miners were getting, 1 to 5% invalid shares, not just on Hero Miners, which is the pool I use, but on a lot of the pools. And with this update that's been implemented across pretty much most of the major Kaspa pools, you now should be seeing 0 to 1 invalid shares, 1% that is, which has actually improved my hash rates considerably. So you'll remember my 24-hour average used to be closer to 385, whereas now my units are actually getting very close on the 24-hour to the 100 gigahash advertised hash rate, whereas traditionally I was getting 95 to 96 on each of the units. So it's nice to see this bumping up and getting closer to that 100. Appreciate the pools implementing those. And pretty much, because these units never go offline really for me, so these numbers for my invalids really haven't increased since that was implemented by the pool. These numbers are all from, prior to that. So really nice to see some improvement on the mining. But as you can see, at my current, what am I doing? Current 24-hour average of 395. Let's throw that in our calculator here. Again, I know this isn't the most accurate, but our 24-hour average means we are earning about 309 Kaspa a day. So let's update that. 309. There we go. So that pushes out our ROI a few more days to 26 days, but it is getting closer and coming down. And that's with this still being below 4 cents. Now, I know some people think Kaspa is the next Kadena, but I think based on the fact of how much hash rate we've seen come on, again, this is just my opinion, we've seen a ton of hash rate come on, and that price has not really, like, dove, so to speak, yet. Yes, I expect a lot more hash rate to come, but Kaspa seems a little more resilient, and I think that's because of many of the things that myself and many other tubers have talked about, which is that the majority of the supply is already in circulation, so the daily emissions that could possibly be sold by miner is actually a pretty small percentage of the total liquidity out there. It will have a negative impact, and it has. It has come down, like I said, from that. I think we almost got to 5 cents at one point, but everyone was expecting it to go like, a penny or less. I just don't see that happening. Could we retest, the 3 cents and maybe get below 3 cents? I think that's possible, especially as this network hash rate continues to climb, and I think we're only about a little less than halfway to its peak, to be honest. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I will say, I'm actually a little surprised. I figured by the time I would make this video, which is about 2 weeks into September, that we would be a little actually higher on the network hash rate. But Bitmain seems to be shipping out pretty small batches. Realistically, it's all one batch, and they're just shipments of that batch. But it seems to be slow going for Bitmain getting out the quantity that they have produced. I had expected us to be around about 25 petahash at this point, I believe I said in prior videos. Right now we're right under 20. So we're close, but not quite there yet. Which has actually kept profitability up a little longer for my little KS0s, which is nice. But I do expect this to keep going, and I would expect by the end of the year to be somewhere between 50 and 60 petahash is kind of my estimate. Now, so jumping back to our calculator. So you can see where I currently stand, getting nice and close to ROI, even on that last unit that I bought at $8.99. Now, let's get into our FOMO calcs, because this price is going to probably look enticing to some of you. I'm not saying it should or shouldn't, but I do still think this is overpriced. So let's get into it. Now, with a single KS0, we need to update these numbers. So this daily Kaspa is no longer going to be 103. It won't be as bad as I thought, because the average hash rate on a KS0 has actually increased and is very close to that 100 gigahash over 20 hours. So let's be conservative and say like 98.5. So let's throw that in our little calculator down here. 98.5. Again, in the past I was using 95 or 96, but now we're going to use 98.5. That's about 77 Kaspa a day. Alright, so let's throw in 77. We already updated our value. And this net negative is now going to be 449. Again, that is a nice decrease. That's like, $150 decrease. But again, in my mind, that's what it should have been a long time ago. Now, you will see how I changed this. Our days to ROI has actually gone down. So it is, technically speaking, a better deal than if you bought, either of these late August batches, which had over 148 days to ROI. So at least the pricing is a little closer to where it should be. The problem is this is still not going to be 148 days to ROI. So let's get into that. Again, I fully expect this to continue going up here, especially because Bitmain just announced that their 4th shipments are on their way. Now, it does seem to be going up a little slower. So, again, I had expected 25 at this point in September, and we're at a little less than 20. So, let's say, hypothetically, that you get this. IceRiver's always been really shipping these at the end of this window that they state. So let's say you get this the first week in October, which is about 3 weeks from now. I would expect, since this is going a little slower than I expected, let's say 30 petahash. Okay, so about 1.5 times the current network difficulty and hash rate. that means your reduction here should be about 1/3 in your daily Kaspa emissions. So essentially you're going to be making about 50 Kaspa a day. Okay, not horrible. So with that current price, buying at 449 and daily USD of 1.965, your ROI is going to be back over 6 months, under a year. This is what I think you'll be getting on the day you receive your unit. And that, you have to remember that this is the day you receive it. So you will start with a 228-day ROI. But let's say, as I've said many times, I do expect to get up to 50 petahash by the end of the year. And this is factoring at 30. So at 30 petahash, you'll be making 50 a day. Well, at 50, if we want to be, real conservative, I could say 60, but we'll say it'll be 50 by the end of the year, because it seems to be growing a little slower than I expected. So we'll go on the smaller end. So we'll go with 50. This is at 30. Well, that would mean that essentially at the end of the year, you will be earning 30 Kaspa per day, which, as you can see, now puts your ROI at 380, so over a year. And that's just in the first 3 months that you would have been mining on this unit, that you would have gained that many more days to ROI. So, and I do fully expect the Kaspa hash rate to keep climbing even in 2024. So unfortunately, I do think this 449 becomes most likely still an ROI of never. And I tend to use that when anything gets up to like the year and a half, like 18 to 24 months range. Again, that doesn't mean it's not a good buy. That doesn't mean you should or shouldn't. That's just what I'm seeing. But again, when you see ROIs of that long, you're not mining to sell daily. At that point, you are mining to hodl and hope for future price appreciation, which is what I have been doing the whole time. That isn't any financial advice. I just personally believe in the Kaspa project. And, that would be that's really the only strategy with the current price of a KS0 is to hodl. If you're expecting to cash out daily or weekly your earnings to eventually ROI, you probably will not. Not anytime soon anyway. Maybe. And honestly, without that future price appreciation, you'd lose out on the next bull run, where I anticipate Kaspa will probably go up in value. So it actually would probably push out your ROI more than if you did hodl and say there was future price appreciation during the next bull run, during the next Bitcoin halving cycle. So that's just what I'm seeing. Again, at this point, like 449 just still doesn't make sense to me. I really think this number needs to be like, hypothetically at this point, we should be like sub 300, like let's say 249. Alright, that's a little more respectable. Under a year, over 6 months. Again, it will keep increasing as time goes on. But even at this point, I'd love to see it be like 199. There you go. That's a little more acceptable. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm seeing on my Kaspa miners. Hope you enjoyed this content. If you do buy it, comment down below and let me know what strategy you're doing. Again, none of this is financial advice. I've really liked my KS0s and I believe in Kaspa, so that's why I'm hodling. And I am getting close to that ROI number on my 4 that I still have. So that's about all I got for today. Hope you enjoyed this content. Like, subscribe, comment down below. I will update you again when there is either another price drop from IceRiver for a future batch, or I have ROI. Until next time.